Hello, everybody, and welcome back to, oh my goodness, what time is it? It's only Stupid Answers time. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, Thursdays, for a bit for people that watch it live and nobody else. And with me, I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Roxy, I already asked you how you're doing, but how are you doing?
Just doing a lot of online watching of Biden this morning, so really sleepy.
Okay, why are we it's been a hectic morning for me. Why are we watching Biden?
He signed an executive order this morning, like almost temporarily approving the rights of certain abortion situations.
God, just just always like just the itty bittiest of measures.
But the best part that you'll love, DJ, or that people will love, that has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah,
is Biden's reading the teleprompter. He fucked up like 4 times on the teleprompter, but he's reading it, and there's like this quote he's giving, and then it says in the teleprompter, repeat the line, and he gives the quote, and he just says repeat the line, and then keeps and never winces. He just doesn't even know what he's saying.
Oh.
He reads the quote, and he's like, women need this. You might not like this, but women are the ones who need to show up at the polls. Repeat the line. Women are the ones who need to show. And it's like,
God fucking damn it.
You are a robot.
Yeah.
You are not a human. You are asleep at the wheel. You have zero passion. There's nothing in your voice. I appreciate this executive order more than no executive order.
It's better than Democrats. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, but repeat the line. And it was like...
sometimes, I don't even know if sometimes that's true. If it is better than nothing, sometimes nothing might be better. This doesn't sound like one of those cases. And listen, I'm just going to say this. This isn't a political show. I'm sorry, but listen, it's invaded our lives. I remember when a lot of this stuff was going on, it's like, this is why everybody should have voted harder for Hillary in 2016. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, she got the popular vote, and our wackadoo system still gave it to the other guy. So I'm not sure like voting harder is the message. And also, not for nothing, a bunch of us were like, hey, Hillary and Biden aren't the people. There are other Democrats that might be more of the people for this moment, and you didn't listen to us. So maybe it's not on us that weren't stoked about Biden and Hillary. And just for clarity's sake, I did vote for both of them because, again, I get better than the alternative, but that's such a low goddamn fucking bar. Fuck, Zoomers, come save us. Anyway.
I could legitimately do 2 hours on this and how it relates to the entertainment industry in certain aspects, but that's not the show.
That's not the show.
You asked me how my morning was, and that's my
it.
answer. Just checking in every morning, checking in on my rights. What am I allowed to do
What rights
today?
do I have left?
Yep.
God.
A little different than yesterday, a little different than it will be tomorrow. What rights do I got today?
And listen, I have a lot of, because this is the as of those people listening, as of this recording, this is my first time hearing of this. So I have a bunch of questions, but again, as Roxy so eloquently pointed out, that's not what this show is. It could be, though, if we wanted it to be. We're in charge. Nobody's in charge of us. But what this show is a pop culture show. Fuck, man. Seriously, if Disney wants us to keep caring about this shit, these companies have power. They could pull levers that would put pressure on these politicians to do things that are good. And I would argue if these companies keep wanting us to spend money with them, if they want us to have money to spend, they might want to pull those levers, is all I'm saying. Anyway, we're talking about fucking Thor.
I have so many responses to what you just said. But
yeah,
luckily you and I are very politically aligned. So.
Yeah, it's just like, if we all whatever. If we all become refugees and this country becomes like a fucking hell state, Mad Max world, they're not going to be making money. Is my only point. Patreon.com. Speaking of capitalism, patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Go there, please, so that we too can participate and survive within this capitalist state. We appreciate you, and it allows us to keep doing this show. Roxy and I do a show called What We're Into, where we talk about a bunch of things. We're going to be talking about The Boys and Miss Marvel and The Summer I Turned Pretty and other things that left my brain. You can also listen to this on iTunes. If you do, please give us a 5-star review. If you listen on iTunes, Spotify, we ask a question every week. Last week's questions: what are your top 5 favorite MCU movies. Ray Alvarez said Winter Soldier, Guardians 1, Infinity War, Iron Man 1, and Spidey Far From Home. That Far From Home one is a shocker to me. That's a, I guess we're all allowed one. We're all allowed one that's not on anybody else's list.
I think that's a very understandable one, but you and I are on different pages.
Wait, but it's not No Way Home, and it's not Homecoming. It's Far From Home.
I understand. I heard.
Okay. All right. Far From Home. I think Far From Home might be the worst Spider-Man movie. It's up there with Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Think Far From Home is the worst Spider-Man movie ever?
It's up there because it's so boring. It's so and also if you rewatch it with the Mysterio reveal, the first half of the movie does not matter. The first half of the movie is all kind of bullshit to get to that reveal. And then the movie happens. Anyway, whatever. You want my thoughts on that? You can go to the Spider-Verse, which is also on Patreon. Stephanie Raposo says Infinity War, Iron Man, Civil War, Homecoming, No Way Home. Big Spider-Man fan over there. Stacey Guetta says Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of them, Roxy, they numbered them. So sometimes I'll read Iron Man 3. It's not. It's Iron Man. And then point 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy. And then point 2 is Infinity War. Adrian Esparza, Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Civil War, Black Panther, Ragnarok. Solid. Yeshu Wazalewski. Iron Man, Infinity War, Guardians 1, Avengers 1, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and then finally Racer Marie, Multiverse of Madness, Winter Soldier, Endgame, Black Panther, and Civil War. And also, not for nothing, when I've seen these lists, I looked up, Roxy, the definition of shortlist. And the definition of shortlist is a list of selected candidates from which the final choice is made. So my top 5 was my final choices. The shortlist was the list of things that did not make it into my top 5.
But how many do you get?
What do you mean, how many do I get?
How many are on your short list? Because isn't the short list of selected candidates the entire list of selected candidates?
No, because the candidates that are up for selection are 22 movies. That is the long list.
So isn't that the short list?
No, the short list would be the 8 to 10 that I'm choosing from, and then the finalist is that top 5. Roxy's not buying it. I stand by it.
I think it's fair. It's valid. However,
counterpoint.
Rules and change what Friday is. Yeah.
So last but certainly not least for me, as of this recording, if you're listening to this, we are just a few days from the end of the Hellbent 2 Kickstarter. As of this recording, we just passed 200 backers, which is incredible. And we are 12 backers from reaching our third and final stretch goal. So if you've been waiting this whole time, there's literally, depending on if you're watching this live on Friday or listening to this on Monday, there's just a few days to back it. So if you've been waiting, now's the time. It's an incredible comic with a diverse group of creators that, again, I've been guesting on a few shows, is kind of almost frustratingly relevant to the times we live in right now. So if you want a cool, supernatural kind of thriller, go to hellbentcomicbook.com and please back this comic. It would mean a lot to me. And for Patreon listeners, you get special Patreon exclusive rewards. So don't miss out on that. Woo! We got through it, Roxy. We got through all the business.
Great job, DJ.
Oh my God. Thank you. I needed that. Let's do news. Yeah, let's do news. Wait, hold on, Roxy. Did we make it an entire week without any Ezra Miller news?
I doubt it.
Okay, did I just miss it?
No, I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything massive, but I do think there was like forward movement on some of the. Yeah, I think there's probably like little news, but compared to big news, no.
No, I do think I saw a headline that was like Warner Brothers thinks Ezra will get the help they need before the Flash releases, and it's like, what in their brains does that mean to them? What help? Because again, at this point, it's a criminal situation. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
Surely not wrong.
Cool. But we're not talking. That was my point. My point is we didn't have to talk out Ezra, and I still fit it in there. The thing I want to talk about with you, Roxy, is there's this Hollywood Yes, yeah, it's a Hollywood Reporter article that says.
I was like, are you confused? What industry we're? Is
Well, no,
this
I just didn't know
Hollywood? Hollywood.
outlet
Yeah, yeah,
reported
yeah.
it. I believe it's a Hollywood article. That's the article I have here. I believe they're the ones that broke it. But Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk are going to be showing up in the Echo series. And I'm quoting the article right now. It says, sources say Echo will include a plot line in which Daredevil, whose alter ego is blind attorney Matt Murdock, spoilers, is searching out a former ally. Podcast The Weekly Planet has reported that the ally is Jessica Jones. That's the end of the quote. I will say, whenever these places are a podcast, like something I've never heard of says it's this, it's like, well, that could just be us. Like I could say right here, like I've heard from the grapevine that Luke Cage is gonna bang Kingpin in the Echo series. That doesn't mean it's new. That doesn't mean it's accurate or news or anything. I don't know who is the Weekly Planet. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like it sounds very Daily Planet like. So I have an efficiency to trust them. What's the word?
Affinity.
Affinity. I was like in my head, efficiency. This can't be right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it anyway.
You have an affinity gauntlet.
Yeah, I have an infinity gauntlet to trust them.
Yes.
But that's not right.
No.
It's certainly not right. And no comment. So that's what we're getting no comment. So
From you? No comment from you?
well, no, I'm here to give comments, but I'm just saying, like, we don't know enough.
That's true. Yes. It's not like Marvel's confirmed or denied.
When they're no comment, it's like, well, then I don't know.
No. I thought you were saying no comment. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a short segment. This is going to be a short segment. Oh man,
I will not be responding to that. No, when they have no comment, it's like one of a couple things, right?
Yeah.
I feel like no comment is either this is true, we just aren't ready to speak about it, which seems likely in this scenario, or there's still something they're figuring out, so they're not ready to speak about it, or they're holding the buzz for a different time, or it's not true.
Yeah.
So,
knowing Marvel, it is true now, but we're not sure it will be true by the time we might have reworked the entire show by the time it hits air. So who knows?
That's so true, DJ. Do you think it's possibly that?
I think it's always possibly that, because it feels like, especially now, I don't know if this is always the case and we're hearing about it more, or it's becoming more the case now. We just had Augustine on last week, and we were talking about Multiverse of Madness, and I feel like there were similar conversations with other movies where it's like, yeah, we had a movie, we threw out half that movie, and now we have a new movie. And to me, Lena Headey had a role in Thor that was cut. I don't know who it is. I don't know where it would have fit. I don't know. That. She's being sued by her reps because they say they didn't get the money from her filming that.
They didn't. Her reps are suing Lena Headey for
because
not paying her reps.
she got paid to be in this Marvel movie that she ended up getting cut out of, and they're saying they owe her she owes them some of that money.
So she did get paid by Marvel.
Yeah, apparently, yes, and it has been confirmed she did have a role in it that was cut.
What do you think it was?
I don't know, but I feel like, listen, Lena Headey is not like necessarily as big a star. You know what I mean when I say this, as big a star as Russell Crowe, but I can't imagine she's cheap. And so it's like, how much money does Marvel shotgun into these movies for stuff that's eventually cut?
I want to look this up. I'm so curious of where do you think?
I'm going to assume she was like Hera. I'm going to assume it was in the scene with Zeus, and she was another god. She was either Hera or some other god or some other god.
So do you think that there is potential for a future?
I don't know, because that actress from, what was it, 13 Reasons Why, that was in Endgame, that was supposed to be Tony's daughter, got cut, and now there's rumors she's being recast in a different role in a different MCU project. So the short answer is I don't know.
Yeah, Lena allegedly sued for cut Thor Love and Thunder role. That sucks. Wow. UK talent-based agency is currently seeking $1.5 million in damages. So, okay, the $1.5 million is a result of an accumulation of multiple roles the actress has played. $300,000 for the 2022 film 9 Bullets, $650,000 for her role in the canceled television series Rita, and $500,000 for a part in the upcoming Marvel film Thor: Love and Thunder.
Can you
equating
imagine?
to about 7% of her fee on the $7 million she made from Marvel.
Can you imagine paying $7 million to an actor to cut them from the movie?
Can you imagine being an actor who doesn't pay your reps for 3 roles?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean,
Allegedly.
here's something I will say too. Like, this is one of the unkept secrets, or well-kept. This is a well-kept secret of Hollywood that is really frustrating. At her level, it doesn't typically happen, but at DJ and my level, it certainly happens all the time. Usually your reps will take 10% of what you make, and that typically is whether they book it for you or not, which is an incredibly frustrating caveat in that. So,
Yes.
say that you are. If you have a friend who's casting something, you get it yourself. Your reps have nothing to effing do with it. They still get 10%.
Yeah.
And so who knows exactly what happened here. Now, typically at her level, because such major contracts are involved, that even if she books it herself, they still are negotiating for you. So they're still doing something. But you never know. A lot of times, like, people will be out to drinks and they'll just make a whole effing deal. And then their reps just get 10% of it. And that is like egregious.
I mean, one again, like a lot of things, the systems are designed to like grind people like you and me harder than say the Lena Headey's or the Russell Crowes of the world. But anyway, back to Daredevil and Kingpin and Echo. Not terribly surprising news based on the way things have been going. But how do you feel about it?
No comment.
No comment. I will not talk about this story.
I don't. To be honest, I didn't think this was going to be my response, but as I was thinking about it this morning, knowing we were going to talk about it today, I don't love this.
Okay.
I really liked Echo.
Same.
And I really liked the return of Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
I feel like if we were going to get a show with Kingpin and Daredevil, the Echo show is not necessarily where I would want to see that. So it, to me, is like me asking for a piece of cake and somebody bringing me a Hershey's bar.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, I still like Hershey's bars. So,
but it wasn't what I was going for.
I'm grateful for a Hershey's bar, and better than having no dessert.
Yeah.
But I wanted cake and I wanted to eat it too.
Yeah.
So it just kind of feels a little more lackluster than I was hoping it would feel to have Daredevil and Kingpin back on the screen, you know?
Yeah, I think I will say that Echo, I believe, premiered but she's most associated with Daredevil comics. You know, obviously she's tied to Kingpin, she's tied to Matt Murdock. So it is not beyond the pale to have them in there. But I think I have similar feelings to you in that it was cool that Echo, who's a kind of character that we haven't really gotten in the MCU yet, her show now feels like it's going to be the backdoor pilot. It's a backdoor pilot for the Daredevil show, and it's like, well, I kind of want Echo to get her time to shine. I don't want people to be excited for the show because it's a Daredevil show.
That's a good point too. It's not just about Daredevil and Kingpin. It's also about this character that now I really like.
Yeah.
But I know when she's on screen, I'm gonna wish we were with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. But so the other question I wanted to follow up on here is obviously we're getting rumors that Jessica Jones will at least be mentioned in it. It does feel like the most likely candidates to return to the MCU were Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones, played by Kristen Ritter. If we don't see two questions, Roxy. If we don't see Kristen Ritter in Echo, when do you think the next time we see her will be? And also, what are the chances that, because the bigger question marks to me are Mike Coulter because he's on another show right now, and Finn Jones because nobody liked him. nobody liked Iron Fist.
You quickly run through with me, what other shows do we have coming up?
Oh, good question. We have She-Hulk coming this year. We have Loki season 2. We have confirmed that we have a Daredevil show. Is that it?
Well,
Secret Invasion. We have Secret Invasion, which actually would not be the worst place to bring Jessica Jones back because they're kind of positioning that as like a spy thriller. Having a detective character in there makes a lot of sense.
Of course, on anything with Daredevil, that would make sense too. I could even see her appearing on She-Hulk.
Same. There were rumors to that, but I haven't heard any follow-ups.
Yeah. I think that if we put Kristen Ritter, even if it's just a scene or something, in Echo, it is a little front loaded. Like we're just getting them back, and it's like, okay, now let's jam them all in.
Yeah.
I don't need that. But then again, I wouldn't say no to Kristen Ritter for anything. She's my favorite. So
So the other half of that question is, what are the chances of Mike Coulter and Finn Jones showing back up? And also, I should mention, which is actually even probably more, maybe feels more unlikely, John Bernthal's Punisher. Those are the 3 Netflix shows left. What are the chances we see any of those?
okay, but I want you, DJ, to place your bet. When are we seeing Kristen Ritter first?
Okay. I would think definitely by the time we get to a Daredevil show, if we still haven't seen her yet, I would say then. She-Hulk, at least, listen, I don't know law, all right? But I know in law media, lawyers tend to have PIs on the payroll. In the movies and shows I watch, they have PIs on the payroll. Jessica Jones, and also I would just love to see, I have my reservations about the She-Hulk show based on the trailer we saw, but I would really like to see Tatiana Maslany's She-Hulk hang out with Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones. That would be really cool for me personally.
Really, really sick. Who wouldn't want that? Like, come on now.
So please and thank you. I do agree with you that if we put Kristen Ritter, Jessica Jones in Echo, it's like, oh, okay, so this is just, Echo's just an excuse to bring our Defenders show. It's not an Echo show. It's the Defenders 2.0 essentially. So I'm going to say She-Hulk, and then if not She-Hulk, then probably Daredevil.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the exact same page as you. Now, in regards to the other characters and if they will, if and when they would appear, I think Mike Coulter is, of the 3 of Punisher, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. I think that Luke Cage is the most likely to appear.
Yeah.
Where? I don't think we get him for more than like an episode. That could be a Daredevil appearance.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think we're ever going to see Finn Jones again, but I really like him. So I think I don't really like him, but I like him. And I think he got a little screwed by casting. I think that's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like, he was cast in a role, and I think he did everything he could once being cast to be the best that he could be.
And also the writing on that, especially season 1. Season 2 I thought was an improvement, but season 1 didn't do him any favors, which again is not his fault.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, he's an awful actor, and I'm like, or should he have never gotten the role in the first place? But he did.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, and then I think that we very likely won't see Punisher again either.
I feel like the only chance we would see him is a supporting role in an episode of something like Daredevil. I would be shocked.
When you say something like Daredevil, like, what would be a thing like Daredevil?
The Daredevil show. That's what I mean. Is the Daredevil show. An episode of Daredevil has Punisher show up. I have a hard time. I mean, again, the Punisher show is on Disney Plus right now. But I just really have a hard time imagining Disney Plus saying, coming soon to Disney Plus, Punisher season 3. Like, I just can't wrap my brain around it. Hulu, maybe, if they're willing to play with that kind of corporate synergy, which I have not been given the impression that they are. But I do think, weirdly, even though there was a lot of pushback against Finn Jones's Iron Fist, I do think the biggest stretch is John Bernthal's Punisher. Just because of the Disney of it all. I
agree. He's not part of the Defenders, so.
Yeah. I will also say, of the Defenders characters, Finn Jones's Iron Fist is the best prime for like a reboot. Like, if the MCU people got their hands in there, they could like turn it around.
You mean a reboot with Finn Jones?
Yeah, like not a soft reboot. Like, because I think we're probably both on the same page that the Daredevil Disney Plus show will probably have a somewhat different tone than the Netflix Daredevil show. Of the Defenders characters, Iron Fist might benefit the most from that.
Do you think it is possible, DJ, that say we don't see Iron Fist as a character at all for 5 more years?
Yeah.
Do you think it is possible in 5 years he gets a little bit of the Hayden Christensen treatment where if we hear that he's coming back, people are actually excited?
Sure. I don't even, how long has it been since Iron Fist went up there? 2 years?
No, it's got to be longer. We've been in pandemic for 2.5 years.
Oh yeah. So like 3 years. I think there'd be some of that now. I think there will probably be Iron Fist or Finn Jones apologists.
When did Iron Fist dare, huh?
Yeah, like when did Iron Fist 2 go off there? And also it needs to be mentioned, fuck, I'm totally blanking right now on her name because I'm a hack and a fraud.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about you.
I know. It's well known. It's right there. I'm gonna have to look it up. Jessica Henwick coming back as Colleen Wing.
He was great.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well.
I have some very serious news for you, DJ.
Oh no.
You are not gonna like this.
God. Does it pertain, or is this something you just stumbled across when you were looking up something else?
No, it's about when Iron Fist.
Oh, okay.
Is this possible that it was in 2017?
Iron Fist season 2?
I'm trying to look right now.
No, I refuse to believe that. Iron Fist
That's possible.
season 2. 2017.
Oh,
no. Wait, no.
2018. Okay.
That's slightly better.
So DJ, it was straight up. It has been off air for 4 years.
Yeah. Give it another year. Honestly, I think you would get, and again.
You said 2 years, my dude. We are getting up there. Time is just soaring. We cannot stop it. Time will not stop for nobody. Never. That's what I was thinking last night when I was watching The Boys. We will get to that, though.
Oh, we will get to that.
It does not matter what's going on around you. Time is just like, nope.
Oh, my God.
Time keeps it pushing like nothing else.
I'm gonna say this, Roxy. In this conversation, I have somehow convinced myself that I now want to see Finn Jones come back as Iron Fist just to see what the MCU does with it. Just like, sure, fuck it.
All of a sudden, DJ's a big Iron Fist stan.
Yeah, I need to see no because it's like I'm worried about the Daredevil show because I don't think Disney Plus, the way the Disney Plus Marvel shows are equipped to do what worked with Daredevil. And what made Daredevil work was different than what make the Disney Plus shows work. And so that has me worried. But Iron Fist didn't work. So if the MCU gets in there and like MCUs it, that might actually work. You know what I mean? Like there's room for, not that there's not room for improvement on the other shows, but I think you know what I mean. There's more flexibility in my mind to just really do something different with Iron Fist and have it really work.
We should start calling it McCuse It. Miss MCU.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, they just McCued it up. We're gonna make it a thing. We don't care if you guys don't want it. We're gonna make it a thing.
You're in the NICU. It's
yeah. The McCue.
This you're McCued.
McCue. I feel like that's getting close.
I feel like I'm sitting in an executive meeting and I'm like, we got to give this the McCue treatment. Mm-hmm. Feels like people won't know what I'm talking about.
All right. Excuse me. Them's the news. The other thing that we I don't know if we should mention, but we can mention, Roxy mentioned in our text thing is James Caan, famous actor, passed away yesterday. And incredible career, stand out to me. And it was cool seeing this movie get so much love. I feel like I'm the only one that ever talks about this movie, and it was cool to see like everybody else has watched and loved this movie. Is Thief, Michael Mann's Thief, which stars James Caan, which is one of, if not, like Roxy, if you were to ask me, TJ, what's your favorite movie? One of the movies that would cross my brain is Thief.
TJ, would you say theoretically that it is on your short list?
No, it has made it off my short list onto my main list onto the list of my top favorite movies.
So you look at short lists as honorable mentions.
That is what it is on. That is a short list. So if you're looking at a group of actors and you have to choose an actor, your short list is the actors you did not choose.
Yes, so if you're talking about your favorite movie and this is not your number one, then it would be on the short list of movies.
But if I had to choose my top 5, it would be on the top 5 and it would be on the short list of...
When in life must you choose your top 5? Meets DJ at a bar. What are your top 5 favorite movies?
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in the West, Thief, other 3 that I don't have loaded and ready to go.
Wow, the fact that you didn't just name 3 nerd movies on
Yeah.
top of that.
Well, Roxy, it's probably similar to you with like if favorite TV shows. You're like, well, it depends on the day. It depends on the day and how.
Well, it's Friends and everything else.
Yeah, there you go.
So
So you have a top show ready to go. Normally, I feel like tippy
Friends is my
top is
favorite
the
show of all
hardest.
time. No,
That's
Friends is my
fair.
favorite show of all time. For
Favorite
sure.
movie.
But then after that, The Leftovers is up there, and Lost, and then it gets a lot harder.
Yeah. So favorite movie.
Good Will Hunting.
Interesting. God, ready to go. I respect it. I just feel like
Yeah, although I'm not messing with you, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really serious. The first movie that I have seen since 1997 that has made me question if Good Will Hunting is my number one is Marcel the Shell.
It's really good.
It is it is on my short list of my favorite movie, and it is on my actual list of top 5. I need to re-see it because it could be recency bias, but the way that movie made me feel, DJ,
Yeah.
I can't believe it's coming out on July 15th. People are going to be able to see it. I'm so excited.
Wait, so I guess I got limited screen. I watched.
Yeah, you know how LA sometimes will come to first, but that's not
Got it.
nationwide. Yeah.
Highly recommend. I don't know that it made my short list, but do highly recommend. It's one of those movies that is, and we don't need to get off on this. It's one of those movies that like, oh, this is a perfect movie. This movie understood exactly what it was trying to do, and it did that thing. There's nothing in the movie where like, oh, I don't know if you needed that. It's kind of like rare, especially in today's day and age, where a movie is just like, yeah, this is the perfect version. I can't imagine a version of this movie, a better version of this movie.
Also, okay, I want you to take yourself back to a place in which you are single and mingling like a Pringle.
Mm-hmm.
If you meet somebody, DJ, and they say to you like they hate Marcel the Shell, that's got to be a deal breaker, right?
I would definitely have questions. I would definitely be like, elaborate on that thought. Did a shell hurt you? So did you step on a shell one
But if
day?
they were just like, it just didn't move me.
Yeah. Okay.
I have no feelings for it.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of another.
I'm telling you, if that happens to me, if I meet somebody and they are not that they haven't seen it, they saw it and didn't like it.
Yeah.
Nope, not my partner.
I think that's fair. I feel like that's entirely fair. Fair.
Then you soulless.
All right, we're gonna go on an ad break, and then, baby boys and girls, we will be right back. All right, we are back, and we're talking about, God damn it, we're talking about fucking Thor. We did our spoiler-free Thor review on Monday, so we're gonna dive right into spoilers. If you have not watched Thor, we're no beating around the bush today. We're going right into spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Spoiler time. Now is the time to get out. And Roxy, I'm going to kick us off right with where we start off in the movie, which is Gorr's Gorigin. We have Stesagetta asks, where do you rank Christian Bale's Gorr on the scale of MCU villains to date?
Standalone, pretty high. Like if we're just talking about him as a villain, I think he did an excellent job.
Yeah. I think you and I are in the same boat, because I would say it's actually a lot how I feel about Hela in Ragnarok, where it's like in a vacuum, this is an interesting character. I don't know that they're interesting in this movie. Like, I don't know that the movie utilizes them well, but like the performer's doing a good job. The concept of the villain is cool. They look cool. They do cool things, but they also exist separate from literally everything else that's happening in this movie.
Yeah, so we open up in this movie. You said full spoilers, so
Yeah,
I'm
a spoiler away.
We open up in this movie on Gorr.
Yes.
And I remember for those first few minutes feeling both intrigued and confused, like, wow, I'm really into this and what's happening here. It looks super different and interesting, and I love what I'm seeing. But everybody I know who's seen this has said that this is an extreme comedy. How are we going to pivot?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even, at that point, it's not even a pivot. That's the opening. Like, the opening is actually like really grim, but I think it also emphasizes one of the issues that you and I brought up in the movie, is that this movie, it is grim, but it's also like really thinly realized. Like, his daughter dies. He prays to his God, his daughter dies, and then he just stumbles upon his god, and fortunately that god had just killed the previous wielder of the Necrosword, and then the Necrosword, it's like, wait, what it just feels like
It
we just
felt like its own movie would have been his daughter dies, then we follow Gorr on the search to find the gods to bring back his daughter or whatever it is, would be like a movie that would be a tight 90 that I would be really interested in that journey.
Yeah. Or counterpoint.
Gorr, counterpoint.
Gorr, counterpoint. If this movie was a little less linear, or the Marvel movies I have an issue with a lot of the Marvel movies where they're like, they start at the well before the most interesting point. So I feel like another way you could have done this is actually start with Gorr finding his god and being like, my daughter died, so I've spent years looking for you. I finally found you. You know what I mean? And that way, it's not just a cascading coincidences running into each other.
One of the things that you learn when you're starting to write, and typically this is more for television, but they always say to you, start on episode 3.
Yeah.
Like your pilot should be episode 3. And essentially, and I'm sure a lot of you guys at home have heard that or know that, but essentially what it means is like where you think your story starts because you feel precious about, but they have to know this and this, typically is not what is the most interesting thing. And you can always go back, especially in television, but like DJ said, in movies too, because it doesn't have to be linear. That's the beautiful thing about art. You can tell it whatever order you want. It's not life. It's not time. It doesn't stop moving. Yeah. So I do.
It's not been 4 years since Iron Fist.
I do feel the way that you do, DJ, which is like, why did we choose to open on this very real, very heartfelt thing, and then kind of just ditch that almost immediately?
Yeah.
It was almost like they sold us a false bill of goods in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And so I actually really enjoy it when the question being, how do we feel about Gorr? I know I like him because in those 5 minutes, I was all in. Like, who is this? What's happening here? Super intrigued. And then even in the last moments of Gorr, which made no effing sense for the movie that they told, I was still all in on Gorr.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, what's happening here? How did he make this decision? What, like, every time, and nothing for nothing, that has nothing to do with the movie that we saw and 100% to do with Christian Bale, who is like one of the most intriguing on-screen people that we've ever had ever.
Yeah, who almost seems based on this incapable of phoning it in. Like this was the moment for him to phone it in, and he's like, nah. I also have to wonder, Roxy. The Natalie Portman said, she's like, yeah, every day we'd come in and Taika Waititi would be like, forget the script, let's do this. And she's like, that was really challenging for me, but it ended up being fun. I have a hard time imagining Christian Bale standing for that. I have a hard time imagining Taika Waititi coming to Christian Bale and being, no script today. We're flying by the seat of our pants, and Christian Bale being like, cool.
Can I tell you something I learned about Taika Waititi yesterday that made me sad?
What did you learn?
Taika Waititi's last name is Cohen, which is a very, very Jewish last name.
Yeah.
And he changed it to Waititi. And a lot of people, Natalie Portman also did the same thing, changing her very Jewish last name to Portman.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad as a Jew that a lot of people, who knows why, but just so many people change their last name away from sounding Jewish. And it made me sad.
Understandably. It is interesting. I want to know more about the backstory there, because the direction he went in, it was like, that's not the direction I would expect from moving away from the Jewish last name.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? And it always could be like a personal thing where you don't feel connected to that side of your family, or you think it's better for your career for XYZ reason. But it just made me sad. Mm-hmm. So I thought that would be a perfect time to share that in the middle of our review on Thor.
I get it. Listen, it's important here because Natalie Portman is also in this movie.
Yeah, I know. I love both Taika and Natalie Portman. No, I actually love everybody in this movie minus Russell Crowe. I really, really like. I think that this movie was stocked with Oscar-winning actors.
Yes. Yep.
And talent.
They're not going to win one for this one, but that's okay. So let's move. This is a perfect opportunity to move to Jane Foster and Mjolnir. And so, Roxy, am I to understand a huge plot point in Ragnarok? was Thor lost his hammer, and he grew that he didn't need the hammer, which of course is a emotional beat we threw away in Infinity War when he immediately decided he needed a hammer again, and is also further undercut because I guess Mjolnir could just piece itself back together at will.
If Mjolnir wanted to, which he only wanted to do for Natalie.
Which, when you phrase it that way, I get it. I would piece myself back together for Natalie Portman.
Yeah. So, you and I have completely different opinions on this, I think.
Okay.
I actually really liked the Mjolnir bit in Thor 4.
Yeah.
I thought that they did this was what really worked about the movie for me. I thought it was hysterical. His, the way they made this like a love triangle situation where he wanted he wanted his hammer back, but he's got this new, what's the name of the axe thing?
Stormbreaker? Is that it?
Stormbreaker. Yep. Stormbreaker. And he doesn't want to make Stormbreaker jealous. And it's not you, it's me stuff. I just thought from beginning to end, I was like, this is why I really love Taika. I think he has almost sometimes Family Guy humor.
Yeah.
Where it's like you say it enough times and it just becomes hysterical. And that part really worked for me. I think DJ, for you, it just was like once worked, twice worked, the 50th time, maybe not as much.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. I actually think this was that joke about Stormbreaker being jealous, I thought was a funny joke. I do have an issue with the MCU at large because it feels like it will throw any emotional beat into the paper shredder for like a half-baked joke. And it's like, that joke is funny. But again, we made a lot, like the whole emotional crux of Thor Ragnarok is him losing his hammer. And it now feels meaningless, which I think goes to a bigger issue with this movie in that it goes out of its way to tell you, like, listen, there's no stakes to this story. Don't worry about anything. Everything's going to be fine. Like, it's not going to anything that seems like a big deal. We're going to rewrite it. If a character looks dead, don't worry, they're not dead. We're gonna retroactively change everything. It'll be fine. And it's like, well, but that makes this kind of a slog to get through.
Yeah, completely. But the second part of your question was about Natalie Portman's character.
Yes.
Which was my biggest issue with the whole movie, unfortunately.
And now it's spoilers. We can talk about it.
Yeah. So I think Natalie Portman did an excellent job.
She's good at her job.
She's really good at her job.
She's really good at her job.
Also, you would think I don't need to say this because I am a woman, but I also have no problem with there being a Lady Thor. I understand that some people have an issue with there being a Lady Thor. Clearly, that's not my issue.
No. My only caveat is the name, again, because especially in MCU, Thor is not his title; it's his name. Yeah. But I do think this movie handles that about as well as it's fine. It's fine. Totally. And also, again, Natalie Portman was wasted in the other two. Bring her back. This is great.
But there was funny moments with her as well when she's talking about her catchphrase, when she, what she's going to say. And I think that she I think that she's really good. However, and this might be just a highly personal thing, which is fine, but that's how the movie struck me, and I'm who I am. So that's
it's your opinion. You're allowed to have it.
Like, I only have my own life history to when I go into a movie. That's what comes to the table because that's my life. So I thought that the way they handled her cancer storyline was like pretty egregious. Yeah. I think that there was a few different things. To me, I think that I understand people are like, that's pulled directly from the comics. But the comics have a completely different tone than now the Thor movies do. So that's not fully applicable here. And in addition to that, I've always said this, just because something comes from the comics doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm not out here saying, I have no idea why they did that. There was no precedent for it. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I wouldn't have liked it in the comics. It means that in this medium, I thought it was really shoehorned in. Here were the few things that really bothered me as a person who not only lost my mom to cancer, but worked in oncology for years of my life. She is going through chemo. She's actively going through chemo. Yeah. And this is a woman who is sitting there. They on purpose put a scene of her at the hospital going through chemo. And she has all of her hair, which is not how chemotherapy works. She looks very strong, which is not how it is. And then they refer to her cancer when asked what type of cancer she has. She consistently refers to it as stage 4, which is not a type of cancer.
Yeah.
It's a level of cancer. And they clearly just didn't want to like deep dive into her cancer, but you made her have cancer.
Yeah.
So you don't really, I think you don't really get to be like, she's got cancer. It's the stage 4 type. And the chemo doesn't affect her at all, but she's going to die.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they really were like, for our story is too funny. So we can't really go into what it means that she has cancer or how she feels or how this affects everybody or what that really looks like. But we do want to use the crutch. Everybody knows what cancer is. So we're just going to say she has it. So when she dies, it kind of makes sense.
She has the die disease. She's going to, in other movies, just like, she's got a disease. What is it? It's going to kill her. Okay. It's just this one, we called it cancer.
Exactly. And I thought that it really, if you're going to give her cancer, there are ways to utilize that in one of two directions. Either one, there are ways to make things that are so deeply upsetting funny. There are. And to use that to bring like levity and humor and in the morbidness, which they didn't do.
Yeah.
Or number 2, really dive into like, what does that look like then for Thor when she's gone? Like, what is he thinking? What are the conversations they're having? And then what does she really look like? And I said it to my brother and he was laughing. He's like, Natalie Portman probably really just want to shave her head again. It's definitely possible. But like, just the way that we kept going back to her having cancer without ever really going into her having cancer. And I get it's a comic book movie, but you guys are the ones who decide to give her cancer.
Yeah.
So, that's a choice you made and then just didn't really follow through with at all.
Yeah.
So either don't make the choice at all, or if you're going to make it, you have to like live in it.
Yeah. Because I wonder what you would think about this. I think there is a story you could tell where it's like she has cancer and she's specifically choosing not to treat it. So she still has her hair and everything, but it's not getting any better because she's not treating it. And that's a choice she's making.
Right. But in this, we see her getting chemo.
That's like her first scene is her getting chemo.
And so it just feels odd. And then like her being like, but knowing she's getting sicker by using the hammer, but then not choosing to, but then choosing to. And it's like, I don't understand this woman's intention or motivation. Like, what does she really want? And when I walked out of the film, I was with my 2 World Girls co-hosts, Serena and Steph, who both loved this movie. But they kept saying, and DJ, you were there for this. Yeah. Wow, at the end of the day, this was a movie about love. The whole movie was about love. And I was like, the movie certainly said that 15 times.
Yes, it did.
I don't understand how this is a movie about love at all. And her being sick was a perfect opportunity for it to be about love. But it was not. Yeah, they just kept saying it was. So they laid the groundwork for them to have opportunities to really do something, and then they did not do those things and just kind of like brushed over it. I would have rather them pick a random illness that doesn't exist. They don't know what's wrong with her. Yep. They just don't know what's wrong with her. But like for you to call it cancer and then have her go name it chemo and call it stage 4, have her not be sick at all, except one time she falls down or something, and then just have her dead. It's like, this is a real disease that millions of people are affected by, and that just felt like
I think, and it could have been something again, not with a less linear story. Is she enters the story as the mighty Thor, fit, strong, powerful, hammer wielding Jane, and then in the moment when she reveals to Thor, like, actually I have this, she lets go of the hammer, and we see the way she's depicted in the comics. She has no hair, and listen, 90% of this movie was made in a computer. So you could have had one scene where it's like she looks like a cancer patient, like, oh, these are the stakes. This is what we're dealing with. And it's just a shame. The impression I get, and this is just the impression I get, I do not know the situation, but having thought about this movie, having talked about it with you, Roxy, and based on little things I've heard, the impression I get is somebody at the top said, we want Natalie Portman back as Jane Foster Thor. We want to do, and she's in this story with Gorr. we're going to do that. And they gave it to Taika Waititi. This is the story you're telling. We've already prevised a bunch of scenes. And he's like, sure. And then he just went in and he had fun on set and they goofed around and they all collected a paycheck. And that was the end of the day, which is there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think that's just not the way my brain works. It's like, okay, if we're talking about cancer, now, how did she get the cancer? Does she know how she got the cancer? Where is it in the body?
We kept being like, she knows nothing. And I'm like, this brilliant woman who's trying to find a cure for it knows nothing.
Yeah. Literally no things.
Doesn't even know what type of cancer she has, just knows what stage it's at. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? And also, I do want to clarify because I am not personally offended by this. Yeah. Because it's a fucking movie and I don't care. But I just think that the way they handled it was offensive. Yeah. It was the way that they handled it. I think it's not the hottest topic right now because there's so many hot topics. But
in every mall across the country.
Yeah. True.
Boom.
Less than there used to be, though. DJ.
I know that's the real pandemic.
That is the real problem. But it does in a world in which just millions and millions of people have died from cancer, and so many people are affected by this. It just feels like, why'd you guys do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally.
Why'd you do it like that?
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's jump. We're running a little tight on time, so let's jump ahead to the ending. The other thing we really weren't able to talk about. And Danny asks, how do you feel about the new status quo? What was the most interesting story thread, and will we have more musical numbers? I think he's talking about the action scenes with music, but let's focus specifically on how do you feel about the new status quo? So again, spoilers. The way the movie ends is, God, I checked out. My brain checked out hard the second they're like, yeah, there's a magic wish entity out in the universe, and I was like, oh, so nothing that's happening in this movie matters. We just get to talk to eternity and fix it all. Cool, fine. Yeah. And that's what happened. Eternity looks cool, by the way, especially for you grew up like me reading the comics. It's like, oh, cool. You nailed it. That's what Eternity looks like. Good job.
Is Eternity now the daughter?
Great question. So that's what we're all leading to is basically Thor tells Gorr the obvious. Gorr, you are talking to a magical wish. You're talking to a genie, functionally. Wish for your daughter back, you fucking idiot. And Gorr,
so, are we under the impression that Gorr never one time
considered it? It never even entered his brain. Sure, okay. and we don't even give ourselves the caveat. Like at least Multiverse of Madness has the caveat that Scarlet Witch is being affected by this book. This book is evil. She's being affected by it. We never even mentioned like maybe the Necrosword just really wants to murder gods and has infected Gorr's brain. Whatever. So Gorr wishes for
like some line like I was so blinded by my hatred that I couldn't even see. The possibility, anything,
which is a legitimate story point that you get so wrapped up in revenge that you don't think about. That's actually something. There's something to be said there. We don't do that, but so he wishes for his daughter to be back, and what is a really cool visual. And I will say, there's not as the issues I have with this movie, like the fight in the Nether realm, whatever Gorr's realm is. That fight looks really cool. Literally, anytime Gorr uses his powers, looks really cool. There's cool moments, and this is one of them.
Wherever we went with all the gods was really cool looking.
Yeah, and looking at all the gods, I actually kind of wish that space had been more like Sakaar was in Ragnarok, where we just get to live there a little bit and have some goof 'em ups. This movie really needed a Sakaar, like a place that really generated its own jokes and its own humor.
Thor's butt was good to look at, just as we're doing visuals we liked.
He has not been skipping leg day. No, he hasn't.
Focusing on them glutes.
Oh my God. Fuck that. His body's a special effect. That's insane. Anyway, Gorr wishes his daughter back. We see a visual that it looks like in the reflection, it looks like Eternity and is now the daughter. And then Thor raises it, which I guess is what we've been building toward the whole movie, is what I'm led to believe. That the status quo we end with is Thor now has a kid because we need to give all of these characters kids all of a sudden. What do you think about this new status quo, Roxy?
What do you mean when you're? I was hoping that you were going to explain the status quo.
That Thor has a kid now. That's his new status quo.
I literally was like, "Is there a character? You mean the status quo where we end up?"
Yep.
I was like, what I think about the new status quo, what I think about Thor's new life, raising a kid, making pancakes for that kid, and now fighting
with that kid,
but that kid calling him Uncle Thor.
Yeah.
I think that I'm really excited to see a fifth Thor movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was super shoehorned in at the end of this movie. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, what?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm like gonna just accept that is what it is, I think cool. I'm excited to see what that looks like. But for like, we weren't even just in the third act. We were in the penultimate five. I mean, we were in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
This is what life is now. And I was like, huh, okay. Wow. That was weird because he asked you to watch his kid. And now solo dolo, you are just raising a kid. Okay.
Yeah. Has Thor had any experience with that? Has Thor ever because this is a moment I think we
This
missed.
is a little girl. You're raising a little daughter.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you've never been a little daughter.
And we even introduced all the kids of New Asgard. She could have just been one of those kids now. She could have just been raised with those kids. The other thing is we get a whole flashback to Jane and Thor's relationship and what ended up dissolving it. And that I feel like would have been a perfect opportunity to be like, Jane wanted kids and Thor didn't, or vice versa. And this is a way to seed in that idea that this matters to anybody in this movie.
Yeah, totally. I think that there was a cute moment with the coloring on Milner.
Yes, agreed.
There's a couple cute little watching her throw. What did she throw? Like a plate or something, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was like,
She's
yeah,
cute.
this is
She's a cute kid. She's a cute
Yeah.
kid. What are the
kind of
chances?
reminded me of parts of WandaVision that I liked, where I was like, because I really struggled with that show actually, like most people, although you did too, DJ.
Yes.
I really did struggle with a lot, but I did like a lot of the sitcom aspects of it because I love sitcoms.
That was definitely the best part of the show. Yes.
And so like in a vacuum, kind of like you were talking about before. So in a vacuum, this scene of Thor and her, what's her name?
No idea.
Yep. Okay.
Not zero idea.
So we'll call her.
Yeah.
Thor and her. I was like, this is a cute little short.
Yeah. We'll call her Kid Eternity.
Yeah.
Which I think is a character, but I think it's a DC character. Anyway, whatever.
Kid Eternity.
Kid Eternity. Yeah. What are the chances, Roxy, that we entirely ditch this in Thor 5? Like within the first 5 minutes, it turns out because she's got Eternity power, she's a full adult and she just moves on with her life.
None.
That's not been my track record with Thor. My
Really?
track record with Thor is like, hey, here's this thing. It's important. Actually, never mind. No, it's not. Mjolnir's
but I
back.
think
It's fine.
The reason I think none is because we were trying to raise a whole new generation. Like, this is why we have all of the.
So you think she's ready for Young Avengers is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. That tracks.
Because what are we? I mean, there's like 15 kids we've introduced in the last couple of years.
Yes. I also don't know. I actually don't know if there is a precedent for this character. I don't know if she represents anybody in the comics or she's entirely new. I am not aware of a kid brought back by Eternity that is raised by Thor or any equivalent thereof.
I kind of like when they do that though, because
Sure.
like, just go on with your bad self. As I was just thinking about kids though, and what we are doing with kids stuff. Do you know that Eternals has a 47 on Rotten Tomatoes?
That's fucking insane. If you asked me if I had to choose between watching, and again, I did not hate Thor Love and Thunder, but if I had to choose between Thor Love and Thunder and Eternals all day. Eternals, yeah, of course Eternals.
I liked Thor Love and Thunder. I didn't love it, and I thought parts of it were egregious, but I liked it fine.
Yeah.
I think Eternals was really fucking good. 47?
That's insane. On Rotten Tomatoes, as of this recording, Thor has a 68 critic score and an audience score of 85, which, that tracks. Last thing, before we go, we have to talk about the post-credit scenes. So again, talking about no stakes, Zeus, one of the coolest scenes in the movie is when Thor kills Zeus. Maybe that was partially because Zeus annoyed the shit out of me. I just couldn't figure out his accent. I couldn't figure out what accent Russell Crowe was trying to accomplish there.
He's just so punchable in life and this movie.
So he kills Zeus, but spoilers, no, Zeus is fine. He's getting plugged back up somehow. And
Yeah, but I think that made sense. Like,
he's a god, whatever. But it's just, again, like, I just let him be dead. And this is, I think, Marvel has found like the secret sauce to keeping some of these cameos kind of secret is like you save them for like one blue screen scene at the end of a post-credit scene, because
I had no idea about this, and I listened to Brett Goldstein's podcast.
Yep, I also did not know, but I don't listen to his podcast. So
So I'm like truly obsessed with him.
Understandably.
Like, obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Obviously found him on Ted Lasso like everybody else.
Yeah.
Listened to his podcast, a Jew who didn't change his last name.
Boom.
I see you, Goldstein. Appreciate you. And like I've heard his whole life story about, well, not whole life story. I'd need a first date for that. My number is. But he was a writer, and like that's how he got the role on Ted Lasso. He just is so charismatic and interesting and talented. And I went through all of Thor 4 being like, this is okay. And then saw him and I was like, that movie fucking slaps.
Yeah, I'm in now. Honestly, Roxy, same. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm a Greek boy. I have some Greek in me, so I like Hercules. I have an affection towards Hercules. I am a little bummed. It does not matter. I don't care. I'm a little bummed we didn't get a Greek actor to portray him. That's fine.
I get it.
Again, it's not like we're swimming. I guess Natalie Portman's in it, but we're not like we're swimming in Jewish actors. So it's fine. I will also say the only other caveat is maybe kind of a missed opportunity. I also think he'd do really well as Wolverine. I think he'd be a really good choice for Wolverine.
Yeah, I think you had said that previously, and I think that was a really good pick. But
It doesn't matter. These Thor movies are clearly going a more comedic direction. He's a comedian. He's a very talented comedian. He's not quite as tall as Hercules is in the comics, but he looks the part. He looked cool. Like you, Roxy, I was like, wasn't feeling that movie, and they're like, well, fuck you. Now I'm into Thor 5. Like, give me Thor 5 right now.
Yeah, totally. Oh God, he's so cute.
Yeah. So the setup we get is basically Zeus is sicking Hercules, which is such a weird. It's weird that we got Jane Foster's Thor before Hercules, because Hercules showed up, I think, in like the '60s in Marvel Comics. But that's our setup. I'm into it. And again, it's just he's another comedian, so I think there'll be some cool stuff there. Do you think Thor 5 will be the first time we see him, or do you think he might show up in something else prior to that?
I can't even believe when you're saying Thor 5 that there's going to be a Thor 5.
It's not been announced, and who knows? It's what, 3 years from now? Are we even going to be around 3 years from now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess there's a chance that what's going on with Guardians right now?
Guardians 3 comes out next year, I think.
Have they wrapped filming?
Yes, I believe so. Which I don't know where you're going with this, but in the most recent Guardians run, Hercules was a part of that team.
That's where I was going, just thinking about, because Guardians appeared in this. Would there be an appearance there? I don't know, but
and we mentioned
by the
this.
way, I thought that we didn't talk about Guardians at all. I thought that was fucking ridiculous that they never came back. They're just in there for a hot sec. There's no rhyme or reason. We never go back to them. What kind of weird storytelling move is that?
It's and obviously it's just meant to button up the end of Endgame, but also we could have done that in a line. Like that could have just been a line in the movie. Is like I didn't
have them be a part of this and have them come back. They save the day. Something happened. Like the fact that we just never see them again. I was just like, this is why these movies don't stand alone. Because if you watch this movie and you were just watching, you'd be like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, and again, also that the movie had to spend like 20 minutes of his runtime explaining Thor's history. Like, just in case for some reason this is your first Thor movie, we need to catch you up on like hours of shit. But I will say, not for nothing, that scene where Thor's fighting the chicken people on that alien planet was my favorite scene in the movie. I like that scene a lot.
It's funny too.
His outfit looks really cool in that scene. It's just cool. I totally agree with you, but I did like that scene. Last post-credit scene, again, no stakes. Jane arrives in Valhalla and is greeted by Idris Elba as Heimdall. Roxy, do you think we'll see Jane again? Because again, the Valkyries, which Tessa Thompson is, shepherd people to Valhalla, and it can also bring them back.
I'm super interested in Valhalla as a place. I'd like to spend a minute there.
Oh shit, Roxy. That's what the next movie's going to be. It's going to be Thor Valhalla, and Brett Goldstein's Hercules is going to try and fuck up Valhalla, and we're going to get Odin back, we're going to get Jane back, we're going to get Heimdall back.
I'm into it. Sure.
I'm kind of into it too. Again, it goes back to my stakes not being a thing, but I do, fuck it, who gives a shit?
When you're a comedy, fine.
Yeah, if you're able to commit more, because again, I think part of what makes Ragnarok work is there's nothing quite as heavy as the shit in this movie.
Exactly. Like I loved that this movie was funny. When people were like, there are too many jokes, I didn't feel that way. I felt like for a movie with that many jokes, why are you trying to tackle a cancer story?
Yeah.
You're not 50-50. Literally 50 funny, 50 and not, or the movie 50-50. Like, Yeah, yeah. I've already harped on that for a long time. But in the future, I don't mind you leaning into the comedy. Go make it ridiculous. Bring them all back. Who the F cares?
Agreed.
But then don't make people sick with real diseases that you're pretending are not real.
Yeah, pick a lane. I totally agree. And just before we go, Ulysses Campbell did ask, now that we've given the hammer to Steve and Jane, do you think we'll ever get my guy Beta Ray Bill in the MCU? And I'm saying this. If you're doing a Thor 5, if we're getting 5 Thor movies and Beta Ray Bill is not in that 5th goddamn movie, what the fuck are we doing? Give me Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is an alien who has a horse head. It's like,
how many words are you saying? Better?
Beta Ray Bill. 3 words.
Beta Ray Bill.
And he's basically an alien with a horse skull for a head that wielded Thor's hammer for a minute. And I don't know if it's just because he looked cool, but I am a part of it wasn't just me. A bunch of kids grew up, looked at that guy, and I was like, that guy looks cool. I'm into that guy. And there was a most recent Daniel Warren Johnson, who's an incredible writer and artist. He did a run with Beta Ray Bill that's incredible. I highly recommend picking it up. And he's just a cool, kind of obscure character, but like we've done. Listen, Throg had a cameo in Loki. Like everything's on the table. Give me Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill could at least show up in Loki. You know what I mean? Like, gimme.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Like, again, think about all the Howard the Duck is in these movies, for crying out loud. Come on.
You just quoted ABBA. Gimme a man after midnight.
Oh,
with
my
a
God.
Thor butt.
Give me that Thor butt. Good for him. Good for. I like that so many. Like Chris Evans is like, please don't make me ever have to do that routine ever again. And Chris Hemsworth's like, nah, sign me up all day, every day. I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, totally.
Good for him.
It'd be wild to watch like a day in the life of him.
Yeah. Well, and also like, if I were getting those results, yeah, sure, let's do it, because it's work. I mean, they all do the work, but it's clearly like working for him.
Yeah. Totally. Like some people's bodies just could never look like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Chris Evans, back in the first Avengers, Chris Evans made a joke. The actor Chris Evans, when he saw Chris Hemsworth, he's like, oh, that guy, that's a god's body. And it's like, yeah. And it's not that Chris Evans looked bad. He looked great. But look at Chris Hemsworth. Look at him.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
Second best scene in the movie after the fight with the chicken people. That's it from us. We got to go. We do a show called What We're Into. Please check that out on patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Roxy, what should they be on the lookout for from you?
I have a new show on this app called Callin, Callin.
Heard you tweet about this.
If you download the app, it is for free. And I do a show there where I do entertainment roundup, where I just, it's called Live with Roxy, and I just do the top usually 3 stories of the week. So if you're like, I only have
would you say that
hour,
there's like a short list of stories that you choose not to do?
Sometimes I shoehorn them in at the very end.
Okay.
Ezra Miller makes several appearances. So
They have to.
You know, you can't do an entertainment show without mentioning Ezra Miller every single week. But this week, actually, if you want to go check out the episode that I did, I was explaining why people were so mad at Bette Midler, what Macy Gray said on Piers Morgan, which was really upsetting and egregious. And also my favorite show of all time, as I mentioned, Friends. They mishandled Chandler's parents, and Marta Kaufman finally was talking about misgendering Chandler's parents, and all these years later talking about that, and also having essentially like 2 Black people on the show in the entire 10-year run.
Yeah.
And so a lot of she said a lot of really interesting good things. So that's where it is. Callin, Callin. It's dead ass free for you guys, and you can actually call into the show when I'm live. So that's kind of cool too.
Awesome, so cool. Please check that out. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can follow this show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter.
You got the vowels from stupid.
And please go to hellbentcomicbook.com. Like I said, there's only days left in the campaign, so you can get both volumes 1 and 2. You can get the whole story, and I'm really, really proud of what we've created, and I think you'll really love it. So check that out, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.